Now, let us welcome the eighth speaker. The eighth speaker is Ms. Natsuki Takahashi from Aoyama Gakuin University. Ms. Takahashi, please recheck that your camera is on. The topic for the extemporaneous speeches was COVID-19 forcing us to abandon our old ways of living. We're also quickly stepping into a new generation of the unknown. To establish this new reality as a new kind of motivating prologue for humanity, what specific actions must we take? Then, Ms. Takahashi, please be ready and start your best prologue.
Sure. Thank you, Master of the Ceremony and distinguished judges. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Our life completely changed due to the coronavirus pandemic. The reality changed a lot. We have to admit that. But was it the change in good way or the bad way? I think it was good at some point, but I think that not all of them were good. Today, I would like to spend the rest of the 3 minutes talking about how important it is to stop being overwhelmed by the new reality. And through my speech, I want you to find the true benefit or merit of everything, have strong will to oppose or say your words, and make the world the best. I think online classes is one of the biggest change about corona pandemic. Do you think this change was good? I don't think so. In fact, according to the survey, only 24% of students' parents in Japan are satisfied with the online classes. Even at the same time, in Australia, about 63% of students' parents are satisfied with the online classes. In addition, even though the coronavirus pandemic have not ended, about 50% of students are willing to have face-to-face classes in autumn. At first, I thought online classes is wonderful, because if I wake up 3 minutes earlier, 3 minutes before the class starts, I am safe. Or even though I fell asleep in the class, I never got scolded. I said, what a wonderful and good world it is now. But now, looking back, what did I learn in the first semester? Then I realized that I learned much less things than the last year. I thought, what a waste of time and school fees. Don't you think so too? This example clearly shows that the new reality might not always be good. Ladies and gentlemen, online classes is wonderful too, and it is a very high technological things that we should be proud of. But you have to remember that this new reality or the developments might not always be good. I'm sure the world would be more and more developed in the future, including the developing countries. But you have to think about it. You have to think whether it is good or not, or what is the merit or benefit of it, and have a stronger will of your opposement and say it out loud. Is that good or wrong? Not. That will stop the degradation and make the world better. In fact, there was a movement that opposes online classes in Aoyama Gakuin University. It was an easy form of that we can sign through the internet. I was scared at first because that university would not feel good about this opposement. But after I realized that this new reality was not good, I signed the form and had us made my opposement. Like me, please have your strong will. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Takahashi. Now is the judging time. Let us welcome the eighth speaker. The eighth speaker is Ms. Natsuki Takahashi from Aoyama Gakuin University. Ms. Takahashi, please recheck that your camera is on. She will deliver her speech under the title, One for All, All for One. One for All, All for One. Then, Ms. Takahashi, please be ready for your speech and start your best prologue.
Thank you, Master of the ceremony and distinguished judges. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I had an adorable grandmother. She called me Natchan. She always talked to me like, Natchan, Natchan, how are you? With the best smile. I love the time we spent together. However, one news changed my attitude. She has dementia. I was so shocked because I thought she would eventually forget me. I can't face it. This feeling led me to a big mistake. Today, I am standing here to prevent you from making a big mistake, which is unconsciously neglecting responsibilities of caring with one for all for one. Through my speech, I want you to help the patients and their family caregivers. As you know, dementia patients are dramatically increasing. It also means there are as many caregivers as patients. Unfortunately, they are now having troubles. According to the survey of Mainichi Shimbun in 2016, about 70% of caregivers are mentally and physically at their limit. Additionally, about 20% of them literally considered of committing suicide or killing the patient. Even though caregivers are trying to do their best, they sometimes accidentally show their negative feelings because it's so stressful. Imagine, what if the patient were telling you the same thing every hour? See, it's very natural for caregivers to become irritated. However, by saying, how many times do I have to tell you? Or maybe just, patients will be deeply hurt by these actions. And these negative feelings would make the patients aggressive and violent. Additionally, according to Numata Clinic, patients wouldn't forget negative feelings like anxiety, fear, or dislikes. Then why are caregivers at their limit? It's because caregivers are lonely and it's our fault. According to Japanese Society of Public Health, about 1 out of 3 caregivers have no one to rely on, and little less than half of them are doing all the caring alone. Wake up! You are the one for torturing them. By not helping, you are unconsciously neglecting responsibilities and pushing caregivers to breaking point. I was not an exception. Since I found out that my grandmother has dementia, I began to hesitate visiting her. After that, she also became cancer. I felt even more scared to face it. Imagine, what if she didn't call me Natchan anymore? Or was suffering in pain? I just couldn't stand that. However, one time when my parents came back from her home, they told me that my gentle grandfather, who was a caregiver, accidentally said, I heard that so many times already. And my grandmother looked so shocked. When I heard that, Something collapsed inside me. I blamed myself. What was I thinking? I can't believe how stupid I was. By not helping, I was unconsciously neglecting responsibilities and making my grandfather do all the caring. It's no wonder my grandfather couldn't control his stress. Ladies and gentlemen, I am sure that some people would do the same. I am now telling you that it is a huge mistake. I want you to see the patient for the patient and yourselves, but also for the caregivers. Caregivers really need you. This one action is irreplaceable. Caregivers are always fighting with a risk of accidentally saying heartless words. By visiting, give them time to relax and refresh. Or if you are a caregiver, invite relatives, friends, or use daycare services. Phone calls and video chat with patients would also be a big help. These actions look like nothing, but this one action means more than anything. Have a split of one for all for one, and let the caregivers leave with room in their mind. Now you may be wondering, how can I communicate with the patients? Don't worry, it's easy. Remember this keyword, one. I'm not just saying that we are one big family. One is an acronym. O stands for offer positive words. N stands for never deny. E stands for eye contact. Firstly, try to offer positive words in a negative situation. For example, when the patient spilled the water on the floor, why don't you say, "Oh, thank you. You were trying to pass me that cup, right?" Secondly, never deny. Instead of denying, try to empathize like, "Oh, really? Tell me more." Please keep in mind, patients remember negative feelings, and those would make the patient aggressive. Lastly, eye contact. Look them in the eyes and touch their hands if they allow you. These would eliminate patients' anxiety and prevent violence. This one knowledge can change your life. After I realized my mistake, I visited my grandmother whenever I had time. When I didn't have time, I called her on the phone and sometimes on video chat. One time I visited, my grandfather told me, "Natchan, thank you so much for visiting and calling. Now I can refresh and I feel like I'm smiling more." Some of you may think, still, it's irritating. Actually, even though I took care of her often, I never got irritated because I had positive image toward dementia. Due to dementia, my grandmother forgot the pain of cancer and could live without the fear of dying. You know, I think dementia a little. This positive thinking made the atmosphere better and made one more effective. So I want you to try to think about dementia positively. Ladies and gentlemen, this might just be a prologue of caring, but remember, one family, one knowledge, and one action can change your life. One helps all people, including patients and caregivers. All people have to help the special one. Now you know this is what one for all for one means. Thank you.
Next, we have a question and answer period. Mr. Tamura, please.
Okay, Natsuki-san, thank you so much. How are you today?
Thank you. Fine, but very nervous.
Very nervous.
Yes.
I don't think that you that showed the nervousness. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Good job. All right. So first, you focused on caregivers instead of the patients of dementia. I think it's been one of the major problems that Japan needs to face. Thank you so much for addressing this issue. So you said the number of people with dementia has been dramatically increasing.
Yes.
Why is that? What is behind the fact?
Well, there's many facts about, like, one of them is like, if you there's now more elderlies in Japan and less children. So, like, even though the population might not be increasing, the percentage of the people who are elderly and dementia patients are increasing, I think.
Why is it?
Why?
Yeah, you just gave us a number, but what actually behind the number? Why is it just increasing? What is the reason? What contributed to the fact? Okay, let us move on to the next question. Okay, so you are talking about caregivers, and you said that caregivers are at the end of the rope. I mean, they are physically and mentally at their limit, right? So probably because the number of caregivers is not enough to support this increasing elderly people, and some of them are mentally ill. I mean, the dementia. So what do you think would be the good strategy to increase the number of caregivers in Japan?
I think it is important for to expand this knowledge and the fact that taking care of dementia patients is very important, because especially young people like me didn't know anything about dementia, and that there's also the fact that a professor said that supporting dementia patients is much harder than other disease. And people think that dementia patients is not that serious because it wouldn't be the main cause of death, but be actually very stressful for caregivers. So I want everyone to split this knowledge so that everyone would realize the necessity of caring and helping caregivers.
Okay, so after getting them to know, and then they found out that there are this kind of issues. After getting them to know, how would you make this job even more attractive so that more people would like to apply for the job for caregivers?
Well, I think that giving care, supports by family is more attractive because it's more helpful, and this is what the patients are actually willing for. And I realized that I called my grandmother like probably about twice a week, and maybe you think that is a lot, but if you ask others, like cousins or friends of the grandmother, and ask others to communicate with them, each one of them can job like communicating and visiting would be much less. So like it's not actually that much stress for you to be a caregiver. And yes.
So this is the last question. Suppose you have the power to change the social system in Japan. You have the power, like you are a prime minister, whatever. So what would you change in order to make the environment for the better for caregivers?
I just came up with two ways. First one is that I want all, like especially elementary and middle school, to provide more knowledge about diseases. We know the name of dementia and it is increasing, but we don't know how to get along with them. And I think that is the most important thing. So I want the educational system or like schools to provide these things. And also the second idea is that now elderly are very increasing, and like there are many family that lives away from like grandparents. So like there are many cases that elders care for elderlies, or like they're at the worst case, dementia patients provide care for patients. And this might be actually an answer for the first question of you.
Yeah.
But because of this, because then there are many families that lives away from the grandparents and elderlies, you may not be able to find out that the elderly has dementia. And if you don't realize it, it would be more and more serious, even though if you could realize at the early point, you'd be able to cure or fix at some cases. So I also want the governor to provide like maybe living together, then discount for something, or like lower taxes and more system that people would live together and give more people to give more opportunity to communicate or realize that he or she has dementia.
Good. Thank you so much, Natsuki-san. That's all. Good job. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tamura and Ms. Takahashi. Now is the judging time.